Okay, so I'm making a short video here just to sort of illustrate a point, because I know a lot of people have been talking when it comes to hunters in BFA, if you can use camouflage during combat. And this is something that is a really cool feature if you can actually get it working. So I just want to illustrate how you can actually do it, because I spent a lot of time trying to look up how to do it, and it seemed like a lot of people have issues with it, and I finally learned how to do it. So I would sort of give back to the society by actually making a video showing how to do it. So there's a couple of things we need to look out for here, because, or at least a couple of different things we need to be aware of, which is the fact that in order to get camouflage working, we need to not be in combat. It only works outside of combat, which is the issue, because if we're in a, let's say, one-on-one fight in PvP, then we can't use it because you need to be outside of combat. So what we need to do, and I haven't tested this out in PvP yet, I'm gonna do this on video with my girlfriend helping me out because she agreed to do that. So after testing out on a PvE sort of NPC enemy, I'm gonna show how to do it in PvP if it does actually work. So I'm gonna figure out if that does actually work in this episode here. Now, what we need to do in order to get this working is we need to get out of combat during combat. The way we're going to do that is we need to first of all make sure our pet and ourselves are not attacking the enemy. So we need to simultaneously use Feign Death, which is one of the spells we have as a hunter. And we also need to use Play Dead, which is a spell that you can get for your pet. Now, if you don't have Play Dead, make sure you get it. I think you get it in Legion at your, what do you call it? At your order hall, where you need to go and do missions for the hunter campaign, that sort of thing. So go up there and get it. And you need to make sure you do those two simultaneously. So Feign Death, Play Dead at the same time. There's a macro for it, so I'm just going to go and open up my macro just to show it. Just opened up here. Let's actually go ahead and write inside the game. So we do /macro. This is taking way too long. There we go. I have a macro set for cast Feign Death and cast Play Dead. So both you and your pet play that at the same time. This is very important. So make sure you make a macro for this and just replace it with Feign Death, so you do that at the same time. So just make the macro and then drag it into a spell bar. So if you know about macros, then this should be pretty easy. Another step that's really important is before you Feign Death on both you and the pet, you need to make sure that you cast Freezing Trap on the enemy that you're attacking. Because if you don't use Freezing Trap, then you can't use Camouflage even though you Feign Death. So, having said that, you might figure out that you can only do Camouflage in combat against one enemy. So if you're fighting two enemies at the same time, it's not going to work, because you need to have both enemies in a Freezing Trap. And you can only do one Freezing Trap at a time. So that's a very important thing to note. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attract the attention of this guy over here. And I'm just going to send my pet out to get him, just so we don't drag a bunch of enemies here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull him to me. There we go. So again, if you want to do world PvP, then this camouflage technique is going to be an awesome feature. Let's actually go and attack him. And as you're going to notice, I'm going to cast Freezing Trap, Play Dead, and then we use Camouflage and we get away from here. So you can do this combo if you want to, and it does work, just like I proved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to Beastmaster, because I want to test, I haven't done this yet, but I want to test if we can do it using Beastmaster as well. Now, before we switch to Beastmaster, there's one more point I want to make. The reason that I think Beastmaster might not be able to do the small technique is because the Survival Hunter has a very specific talent that allow for us to remove all harmful magical effects when we use Feign Death. So if you have any kind of dot on you, then we can dispel them using Feign Death. And I'm not sure if that is a factor when it comes to using the small camouflage technique during combat. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to Beastmaster and test out if we can do it. I haven't done that, so I didn't prepare that much for this episode here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So now we have my Beastmaster, and I'm just going to go and call out my pets, which wasn't that one. There we go. And what I want to do is I want to make sure we have these spells available to us. So we have Play Dead. There we go. I'm just switching around the spells so they match up. I'm just gonna make sure they are like they're supposed to be. So now we need to attract the attention of an enemy. Let's actually just go and attack this deer over here and try this little thing out. So I'm gonna go ahead, cast Freezing Trap, play that, and we camouflage. So it does also work with Beastmaster, which means that it's probably also going to work with marksmanship. So this is something that we can use as hunters in order to do this sort of thing. So let me go ahead and test out if this does actually work in PvP. Okay, so I'm in Dalaran right now with my lovely assistant sitting over there, my girlfriend, who is going to help me out, figure out if we can actually do this in PvP. Now, I do want to point out before we do anything that right now, if I were to go inside my talents, you can see that I have war mode turned off. So right now the survival tactics that helps me remove harmful magical effects is not going to be working. So we're going to test out if this works without this thing, so we know if it works for all the different hunter specs. So what I asked my girlfriend to do is just to attack me using the regular auto attack, and then we're going to see if this does actually work. Now, because she's a hunter as well, I asked her to remove her pet, because I'm not sure if we can do this with a pet active. So after we do this without a pet active on her side, we're going to do this with a pet active to see if we can still do it. I don't think we can, but I'm going to try it out. So I'm going to send her a see emotes of me. I'm going to send her a invite to Duel. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Oh, dueling is not allowed here. So we do need to fly somewhere else to do it. Okay, so we went to Northrend in order to test this out so we could actually duel each other. So I'm just going to go ahead and right click her, click duel. And once we get started, she's going to just auto attack me. And then I'm going to use the same technique as before, using camouflage. So if she starts attacking me, I'm going to attack her back as well, because we want to test this out properly. And then I'm just going to go ahead and throw my technique and then again camouflage out of it. So we can in fact use this in PvP as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test this out with her having a pet out as well, because this might not work with a pet active, because like I said, it's a one-on-one technique, so this has to be tested out in all the different scenarios as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for my camouflage to reset, because that's important. Okay, so we're back again, and right now, as you can see, I'm still dueling and she's attacking me full on with pets, spells, everything. So, you know, usually in PvP they have spells as well. So we're going to test this out in all the different, at least in a real life scenario. So right now she's attacking me, she's going crazy, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use the same thing to see if it works. Just going to go and do this, and we cannot. Because as you can see, we're dueling with a person who also have pets out. So what you need to do if you want this to work is that you need to make sure that you kill off the pets first, like so. And of course, then use the same technique as I just showed. So right now I would have to wait for these to actually not be down. I need to make sure the cooldowns are ready again. It might take a little while, so I'm gonna have to wait for that. Okay, so we're back again, and now she's attacking me again full on with her spells. She does have a pet out here, so I'm just going to go ahead and take care of it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and throw a freezing trap and camouflage. So this sort of showed at least was a demo to show how I could use camouflage in PvP. Just to show that you can use it in combat as long as the what do you call it? The environment is correct. So you need to make sure that you're only doing 1 versus 1 in order to do this. So it does work under the right conditions. So I hope you found this video useful and have fun using the camouflage technique. At least I'm going to try it out and have a lot of fun with it. So thank you.